All right, so we have been doing YouTube for quite some time now, and Dave and I want to start a special series that's going to talk about the current topics of bodybuilding, kind of some commentary on our opinions on what we think. But we need the viewers to give us a name for our series, which is, it's going to be, every couple weeks or whatever we can get together and actually shoot the content and talk about the current events. But we want your opinion, so this is a chance for all our viewers to get involved and come up with a name of our series. So here is our first episode, and we appreciate comment below on what you think the name of this series should be. Thank you guys so much.
Ready?
Are we up?
Yeah, we're up. Okay. What do you want to call this?
In the office.
That's what's going to be called.
In the office.
But it's an ongoing series, though. Didn't you want to do
No,
so they will just go in the office? It could be at the beach, it could be at the firehouse, it could be whatever.
The Cutler headquarters.
There you go.
Right, Larry? You're like the what do you call that? The guy in the background that's making sure everything's good.
He's the foreman.
Yeah. Okay. So YouTube series, we wanted to do a new thing because we wanted to cover somewhat current events. Although we're not going to be news reporters every day, we're going to talk about things that are kind of relevant in the industry, give a little insight and opinions on what we think is happening.
Yeah, maybe like once a month or whatever's going on.
Whenever we have time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
This episode is brought to you by Swole Monkey Productions,
Yes.
Cutler Athletics,
Awesome.
jcutler.com,
Cutler Nutrition.
cutlernutrition.com.
Yeah.
We're here at the headquarters. So let's get kind of kick things off. So we had a bunch of shows happen this past weekend. The Chicago Pro has come and gone. Knew a few people. We shot Eddie Bracamonte for the heavyweights.
The Open.
Yeah, the Open, and then the 212s. We had Sister Nino in there, who we featured not too long ago as he was leading up, right?
They come back. Yeah.
So. Guy didn't fare too well with it from what we expected. He finished off 4th place there. I spoke to him shortly after the show. He thought he should have been higher, but from my review of the videos, from what I saw, I don't judge any physiques by videos because it's total bullshit. I mean, I went through all that.
Yeah.
But he looked good, but he wasn't really as aggressive as I think he needed to be for that show. So I think that hurt him a little bit. But I do think the guy that won, Lloyd Dollar, looked really, really good.
How about that guy Bola who got second?
Yeah,
he's been
good
competing
too.
for a long time too. That was a good trend for him.
How old is that guy?
He's up there.
Where's he trained?
I think he's in San Diego, but he's been in Venice and he's been going back and forth. He was in there.
Did we ever shoot him?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he never looked that good. This was like by far his best.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of guys edged him up, but I think they were just, they were superior as far as I was concerned.
So do you think maybe it was just like a nerve thing with guys, just like?
No, I mean, listen, he was very small last year when he had his injuries to his shoulders. He had surgery, came back, put on a ton of, he looked great 5 weeks out when he posed for us. But I think, no matter what, from my take from what I heard from people there, like Lloyd was no question the winner there.
Okay.
Now with a guy placed, because they moved him around, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, if the guy finishes 4th, there's no way you can make an account, oh, he should have won.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard all that shit before, but, I think he's going to head to Tampa now.
Yeah, he should.
And, Eddie didn't fare as well. He didn't qualify. Michael Lockett won that. He looked tremendous.
Third years in a row.
Charles Griffin was second at that show. Both great bodybuilders. Coin toss there, I think, as far who could have won. Lockett won there before?
3 years in a row. This is the 3rd year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the champ came back and claimed the title.
Yeah.
He's a Chic athlete, and as you guys know, I have a partnership with Chic with the belts. Tremendous muscle bellies with that guy. Great condition. I heard, he couldn't have been in any better shape at that show, so I think, he had the edge there. I'm sure Griffin was upset, but, he was definitely the front runner leading into the show.
Our buddy Josh Wade also competed, but didn't make the top 5 or 6.
Did, huh?
And he was in great condition. For people who've been there, told me it's just the
structure.
Yeah, these guys ahead of him were just too much for him to.
Sometimes the condition doesn't matter if the structure's not as good as guys that are in great condition and have the structure.
Right. Lock it this way.
Those guys looked really, really sharp. So I think that was pretty deserving. But we brought up the Tampa Pro, so I think that's the last qualification show of the season.
Yeah. So isn't it like 4 weeks out from the Olympia, or 2 weeks, or pretty close?
It's August 3rd weekend, whatever.
Okay.
I think that's when it is. And we know Dexter Jackson's heading into that show. We consider him kind of the front man, although there'll be some surprises there. I'm sure it's not going to be an easy victory for him there. Looks like Guy's going to head over there for 212, and I'm sure the show will be packed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll be in Ohio that weekend, so I won't be at the show, but we'll definitely cover as that gets in. You've seen Dexter train in Gold's Venice.
Yeah, he's not joking around this year. He's just training like every day. I mean, he never jokes around. You know what I mean? He's just very, very serious.
Does he seem more serious than the
more serious so this year than last year? Yeah, and good amount of confidence in him. Without, I wouldn't call it cocky. I don't know. He's got this aura this year about So I really hope he does well. I'm sure he'll win Tampa.
I mean, I think he chose Tampa. He's qualified for life, right? Yeah. So he doesn't have to do any show. Yeah. But he did say, even on our channel a few weeks ago when he ran that interview, he said, "Listen, I'm just not sure. I want to make sure I'm able to stand up there with the big guys, right?" So with him, I think when he planned to do this show, he was like, "Oh, questionable." But I think after seeing Roden at the Pittsburgh, I think that's why he's thinking, "Man, I could beat this guy," right? Because he saw how out of shape he was and thinking, "Man, he's not going to improve a lot." I mean, I wouldn't think he'd be able to improve a lot. And Shaun, I can't wait to get him on, and I'd love to ask him the same question. You think you're going to be improved? I mean, of course, we all say we're going to improve, right? But I wouldn't expect Shaun to be better than last year the way he looked. And I know that picture leaked out, and it's very questionable whether that's now or before. And I know most people I know are swaying towards that's not current picture. So, I'm going to go on record and say, that I have a majority of people feeding me that, hey, that picture's not current. And if I know if it was current, he'd be peeling off clothes in Gold's Venice, I think, a little more at 10 or 11 or 12. So.
He did that more like a month out last year and stuff, but it's fine.
I know, but look at how good he looked in the picture.
I know.
I mean, he looked as good as he can look. I mean, it's not like, oh my goodness, he put on 20 pounds.
Yeah, I know.
He's just in great shape comparable to what terrible shape he was at Pittsburgh.
I gotta tell you, when you speak to Shaun, because I spoke with him after he did a few interviews and after I saw him Expo and everything, when you speak to Shaun, he is not worried the slightest. None of this stuff.
I mean, when you're Mr. Olympia, it's like yeah, I get it.
I would be personally, I'd be like, holy shit, I better, but he's not. He's just, maybe he knows how his body has been responding. Like he said in the interview, I've been doing this stuff since I'm 17 years old. I know how my body responds. I know what we're with. Maybe he just got it down path, and he's just.
Let's hope so. We'll be asking him in the next few weeks. And, I know.
Will you be doing the interview with him again?
I'll interview him if he wants to talk to me.
I'm sure he will.
Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of we're talking about the Olympia now, and I mean, I would say the front runner at this point right now. I mean, you got to consider Brandon Curry to move from 5th up. you got Rami missing, you got Phil Heath missing. Those guys aren't going to be in the show. So, Rami wasn't a contender in the top 5 last year, but you considered him going in, right? It was a fluke. He finished outside. Yeah. But Phil Heath's out, so Brandon moves up one position. You would assume he beat everyone else so far this season. Bonnick, who finished 4th last year, right?
And plus he beat at the Arnold this year.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So I think that he's going to be definitely the hot guy coming in. Yeah. I know he's saying on record that he's gunning for the Mr. Olympia title. He's not afraid to say he's going to win it. I saw just recently, actually a couple of days ago, Roly Winkler. He's saying he's going to be the Mr. Olympia. So he's very, very questionable. He could be right there. I know he's slipped a little bit to Arnold. I mean, he was 3rd last year at the Olympia. So, it's throwing me out to be pretty solid. And you got Roden, who's more confident in that.
But let me ask you something, because you always get like your preview to some pictures that nobody else gets to see. And I know you're getting some pictures, some quotes here and there. Mm-hmm. So you've seen Brandon. What do you think since the Arnold, as far as progress and stuff? Do you think that he's actually improved?
You know what? I think he's improved. The problem with Brandon is his back poses, meaning his back is crazy, but he needs more depth to his hamstrings, glutes, if he can get that solid, it's kind of, I consider him like the Dennis Wolf syndrome, where, you know, Dennis Wolf was lacking from behind, and when he did gain, he was able to like knock out the top 3, no problem, second, whatever.
Right.
So he's still in that early, he's right there, and it's going to take a year or two, and then you're going to see Brandon next level muscle. He's going to do like a Ronnie Coleman.
Gotcha.
You know, he's actually transformed that much. He's got so much dense muscle and a small waist, and
still,
I mean, he's just, his legs have to improve still. I consider his legs still to be a little behind. The upper body is just perfect, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't be more complete. I still think he has the best upper body of any guy up there. It's just that his whole package, you know, to win Mr. Olympia, you're going to be all there. So, listen, Roly could be Mr. Olympia, no problem, but he just has to come in the right condition.
Yeah.
And Shaun, you know, listen, he can retain. He just needs to come in as good or better than last year, which I think is going to be very, very difficult, especially with him taking as much time off as he did, because he didn't. You know, if we look at his track record, he's been in the top 5, so you can't count him out of that. But at the same time, he trained all last year. You know, he had the stomach thing at the Arnold, which he didn't compete, but at least he was training. Yeah. So it built up for that time where he got ready for the Olympia, and he already had a lot of size, right? Yeah. Even if his condition wasn't spot on, he was already dieted down for that Arnold. He really could have gone and won that thing.
He was ahead of the curve,
Yeah, so I mean, there was only so much time, but when you take that much time off and you start training in May or April, whenever he started, man, that's a big risk.
Let me ask you this, because you've been through this. Becoming Mr. Olympia, do you think that actually helped him this year, mentally, to be the champion? Or do you think it's actually been something that may be a negative?
No, I think it's helped him. I think, you know, when you become the champ, I mean, you're the king, right?
Right.
I don't think the competition is drastically you know, like swaying towards one guy or the other.
Right.
I think there's a lot of guys that are questionably, that's what makes this a more exciting Olympia than years past, and you don't have a returning champion like a Phil Heath, who's a multiple time winner.
Yeah.
I mean, one-time winner, Roden, right?
Yeah.
Who's not, in my eyes, the most dominant Mr. Olympia of all time.
Right.
He's great, but you know, you have other guys that are coming up that are hungry, that are younger. You know, that's the one thing. Shaun doesn't have age on his side. Right. You know, he's 44 years old. So, you know, he has to work that extra step to really, I mean, he's in the history books now as like, he's one of the older Mr. Olympias, if not the oldest, you know?
He is the oldest by 1 month.
Yeah, so, you know, Father Time beats everyone. You can't beat Father Time. So, you know, a lot of good things shaping up for the Olympia. I think it'll be an exciting show. I can't wait to be there with 10 weeks away.
Yeah, just 10 weeks away. So we should be seeing some more promotion, hopefully, and as we get closer, at least for us with the channel, it's going to get, you know, crazy, because a lot of people want to be on the channel, a lot of people want to do interviews, and I'm sure you'll be conducting a lot of these as well. The Expo is going to be great, so make sure you guys get your tickets early this year. It's going to be great.
Yeah, go to MrOlympia.com, get your tickets. Dave's flashing up on the camera right now.
Yeah.
Because they will be sold out here as we get closer to the show.
And Dan, we're going to repeat it again, because I know that's something they announced last time we were at the Pendleton. They're doing for the military, the active military also, first arrive, first serve, free tickets. So go to MrOlympia.com. All the details are there.
With your military ID.
That's
and all
awesome.
That.
That's
so
cool.
You know, what's cool about the Olympia this year, guys, is the Expo will feature a lot of the influencers. Like you will have Mike Rashid there. You'll have Cass Martin's going to be there. Dana Lynn Bailey. All those people are going to be present. That they're supporting, basically catering to those people to be at the shows and be present. So even though you know, the show is going on, you know, the Expo is a separate venue. So I'll be there, of course, a lot of the top other names, but those influencers will be there too, I think, which is cool, which I like what Dan's doing, you know?
Yeah.
And speaking about influencers, Callum Von Moger.
Yeah.
Okay, we saw him improving. I spoke to him about 2 months ago. He called me because there was some interest about coming to Las Vegas. And we did talk about doing content together, which we're going to get him training with me once he feels like he's ready to tear it up. But he's back big again. You know, I wasn't sure what his shift was, because he did speak to me about some movie roles. We saw him on the Gucci ads and all the other stuff. And,
mainstream
you know,
stuff. Yeah.
But Dave would tell you, I want him to zone in on. What did I tell you the first time about Callum Von Moger when you interviewed?
He said this guy's going to forget about bodybuilding. He's going to go straight to the movie. He's got that look.
He had the look. He had the look, and that was when he first. He wasn't even living here at that point.
No, we met him when he first got off the boat with Irv Gal. Yeah, he came by the store. Remember?
So he interviewed with us like a long time ago, and of course that was for a different channel. Yeah, and you know, this kid's got the whole future in his back pocket. You know, whatever he decides to do, he's a wild man.
As long as he stays alive.
Yeah.
Because you were telling me you just saw him on his Instagram riding his Harley with his flip flops.
Yeah, well, he loves it. I mean, listen, don't knock him. He's having a great time. I love Callum. Callum, if you're out there, shout out at you, man. Keep doing what you do.
Don't lose a foot, though.
And, you know, I just saw he was in Texas for a Rock's nutrition event, and I mean, dude, his lines were just crazy. He's like one of the most popular guys. He's got 3 million on Instagram now, and
he's a good guy. He's got a good personality.
He's just very positive. You know, he doesn't let a lot of things affect him, and you know, hopefully we'll see him at the Expo set up. And if I'm actually going to reach out to him after this interview.
You should. Good.
Okay. Lastly,
Sergio Oliva. So
where is Sergio Oliva?
Last time we went to San Diego, we tried to get him on the shoot with Eddie.
Yeah.
But he just hurt himself. Nothing serious, but he couldn't make it. So
he pulled an abdominal or something.
Yeah, intercostal or something like that. So what do you think about him not competing, taking the whole entire? And I know he's always got some. Poor Sergio, man. He's always got something, you know, falling in his head. Just, you know, contract issues or whatever. He's the most unlucky person I know, but I really like him, and I think he's got such great potential. What do you think about him skipping a whole entire year, not competing?
Listen, I wanted to see him compete, Dave. Honestly, if I had my way, I would lock Sergio in a house and just put him on a full training camp. And I think this guy, I would put him on your schedule and make sure he's a full-time bodybuilder. You know, pull out the scale and all the other shit that you do. And you know, he could be very dangerous up there. He can get into shape. He has the work ethic. We just got to get him without any outside occurrences that just put him in that position. You know, he's kind of moved around a little bit. He moved out from Chicago. He moved to Venice. He really didn't fall into the groove there. He's now in San Diego. He's training with Eddie. Yeah. I think it's great for him, but you know, we need to keep him on a short leash to try to get him to get up on the stage and dominate this shit.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, not that he's going to do that, but do you think he would be one of those people that if you actually sent him to Kuwait and completely immerse him in that, he would just do like Brandon? And
I mean, listen, I don't think that's always the best thing for people. I mean, I've been out to Kuwait, and you know, Sergio's he's a social guy.
Yeah.
And I think Sergio, if he really took control of his social and took it very serious alongside his training, I mean, listen, potentially a Mr. Olympia winner. There's no question. I mean, for me to say that, you know, I'm not going to say that about a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that are knocking at the door that I just don't think have the genetics to win the Mr. Olympia, in my opinion. And they're like contenders, right? They're close to being Mr. Olympia, but they, you know, there's those people that will be second, third, fourth, or fifth, or whatever, and never really succeed. Sergio could be the guy to really move forward, and you know, he's just got to do it because he's running out of time with his age, right? Yeah. So hopefully, you know, we'll get him on the channel. We'll get some. I'd like to get him and Eddie and myself training together at some point.
That'd be great.
Let those guys whoop the old man's ass, you know.
Yeah. So we believe in you, Sergio, man. You just gotta get your shit together.
Yeah. So you know, I'm sure he's picking a show, and I know he's under the eye of Chris Aceto. So yeah. You know, we have a lot of things, you know, we'll continue to talk about, but these are kind of the main things I wanted to talk about. And also, shout out to Ronnie Coleman, man. He's back in the gym training too.
Unbelievable.
Like, he was, you know, leg pressing on Instagram the other day. And actually, he just reached out to me because I'm going to help, you know, I'm going to write something for his book. He's launching a book at the Mr. Olympia contest in about 10 weeks. So, you know, huge shout out to my former...
nemesis?
No, I hate to say that because we're friends, but, man, he was the reason I became who I became because of his drive, and I wanted to work harder than him, and he's the man. Ronnie, you're the man. We love what you're doing. Anyone that's not checking out Ronnie Coleman, make sure you go over and give him a shout out, give him some support. You know, his goal is to walk freely again and be able to train, you know, every day, and that's what he's kind of doing at this point, even though he's probably in a lot of pain. Yeah. Hopefully he's healing up, and we love you, man. So keep working at it. So I think we'll wrap it up for now. Yeah. This is kind of like we said, this is going to be our new episode. I hope you guys like it. Comment below. Give us your feedback on things that you would like to maybe hear us talk about, if it's not current, but maybe our insight on things and how you guys like this new in the office, in the headquarters with Jay and Dave.
Yeah.
All right. Take care next time.